Good afternoon. I'm ABSS Superintendent Dain Butler. Thank you all for being here today. We are standing in a classroom at Cummings High School that was recently impacted by toxigenic mold. As you will hear in a few minutes from our board chair, Sandy Ellington-Graves, we do not have the money to restore this classroom as well as other spaces impacted by mold throughout our district. Simply put, years of inefficient investment from our county has caught up with us. We are looking for a stronger partnership with our commissioners today. Like most North Carolina districts, ABSS relies entirely on county commissioners to provide adequate funding for the maintenance of our schools. This is clearly required under General Statute 115C. When funding from our county commissioners is not sufficient, we are forced to use other funds from our already limited budget to fill in the gap. This, of course, becomes detrimental to the needs of our students and staff. Just this month, I implemented a hiring freeze for all non-teaching positions. This is on top of a $7 million reduction in central services positions and programs that I put into play this past school year. We are being fiscally responsible by taxpayer dollars that we've been getting. They're simply just not enough. I'm fearful that these reductions will now need to continue. If so, this will impact our classroom staff as well as our resources for our students. This financial crisis has been developing for many years. The recent mold issues have further strained our budget, that's obvious. Now funds meant for general repairs will need to be reallocated to cover the mold remediation costs if further assistance from our county is not received. Again, we are asking today for a stronger investment from our commissioners. I'll now turn it over to Ms. Ellington-Graves. Thank you guys again for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Butler. Good afternoon. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am ABSS Chair Sandy Ellington-Graves, and behind me are the members of our Board of Education, Mr. Dan Engel, Mr. Chuck Marsh, Ms. Donna Westbrooks, and Dr. Charles Parker. We also have on hand with us today ABSS leadership, and of course our friends from the media. Thank you for being here and making this happen for us today. Several weeks ago, we stood on the lawn of the new Southeast Alamance High School to celebrate the newest high school to open in Alamance County in more than 50 years. The $67 million facility was funded through the 2018 education bond that taxpayers approved, demonstrating their belief that investing in public education is vital for Alamance County's future. That investment is now a state-of-the-art facility featuring modern classrooms and amenities to provide students with an optimal learning environment. Yet today we stand in an unfinished CTE food and nutrition classroom at Cummings High School. Take a minute and look around. We're missing walls, a powerful reminder of missed opportunities for our students to learn. 2 months ago, this very room was covered in toxigenic mold. The sheetrock had to be removed, and we simply didn't have the funds to restore it. To fully restore this classroom, it cost $125,000. $125,000 needed, it's more than just a number. It's about the children without the tools and the resources to learn, to grow, and to reach their full potential. And yes, our decision to speak to you today was very intentional to do it in this very room. It is because this is a powerful look at the reality of our classrooms across the district. This is our reality in some of our buildings. When you came here today, you were told you would get an update on the state of the district. But this is much more than an update. This is a call to action. It's to ask every parent, every grandparent, every guardian, and every community member who cares about the future of Alamance County to take action, to be a voice for our community, and to ask our county leaders to fully invest in our children, to fully invest in public education. Simply put, we are in a state of financial crisis, and we need your help. One of today's headlines in our local newspaper is Commissioners and School System at it again, arguing over funding. We're at odds. For years, it's been the same fight, the same argument, and the same results. Shame on us. Shame on all of us. What a disservice to the most precious citizens in this county, our children. Ironically, I think we all do want the best schools, yet sadly no one wants to pay for them. I'm told that it seems ABSS is always asking for money, always has an emergency. That's usually because we are always finding ourselves in a responsive mode to years of underfunding, to the expectation that we do more with less, and to the reality of rising costs. Our school system now faces an unprecedented financial crisis that threatens our ability to educate our very own children. More than 22,000 children who live in Alamance County. These children, they are future citizens, they are future taxpayers, the future workforce, and future leaders in our county. For years, the inadequate investment in our school system has slowly eroded what should be and must be a top priority, giving every child the chance to learn, to grow, and most importantly, succeed. If you live in this county, public education should matter to you. ABSS does not have a taxing authority. We rely on local funds from our county commissioners to take care of our most basic needs. Things like building maintenance and upkeep, money to keep the lights on and the heat going, district insurance policies, and a large portion of school resource officers that are funded entirely by local taxpayers. Some of our county commissioners may tell you that they are adequately investing in our schools and in our children. But let's look at just this room again. This is a perfect example. We didn't get into this financial crisis overnight. We didn't get here in just 3 years. And the recent mold crisis definitely set us back even more. But just to give you an example, ABSS spent nearly $5 million of fund balance, that's our savings account, just to balance our budget over the last few years. A direct result, in my opinion, of underinvestment by our county commissioners. And most of the public doesn't realize that. We balance our own budget for at least 2 years, if not more, because we didn't have the money we needed to operate. That was just to break even. Now we still have roof leaks, inoperable HVAC systems, and major water intrusion across our campuses. Our buildings are an average of 56 years old. 2 weeks ago, we were criticized at a commissioners meeting for asking for money for a roof project at Eastern Alamance High School. Even after we reported, we have fixed 42 roof leaks at Eastern in the last 2 years. We were criticized because we didn't plan for it. But I asked, how do you predict when you're going to have a roof leak, especially 42 of them? To truly give you some perspective, Sylvan Elementary School was built pre-World War I in 1912. Williams High School was built just after World War II. And these buildings require money to maintain and serve our children. Let's explore one area of funding we receive from the Alamance County Commissioners. We will call it Payo. This is a combination of sales tax revenue and property taxes. Prior to 2020, the Alamance County Commissioners gave us $250,000 a year for capital projects. So imagine running 40 campuses. That's 3 million square feet of buildings. That doesn't even include our athletic complexes. 3 million square feet of buildings full of children with $250,000. The county commissioners harped on us for not changing filters. We got criticized for turning the air up to reduce the cost of energy, and for not addressing mold remediation for years and years, and not repairing water leaks in our buildings, or potholes in our parking lots. The list goes on and on. In 2016, they gave us $0 for capital projects. That's 1 full year with no money in our Payo funding to take care of basic repairs, not to mention preventative maintenance. That's when ABSS started putting BandAids on many needs. Roof leaks forced us to put a Band-Aid on. Same with potholes, HVAC issues, broken windows, numerous repairs, all became Band-Aids. Temporary fixes where we learned to do the best we could with the manpower and the money that we had at the time. Is that really what our children deserve? How can our children truly thrive in our schools like this? And then you fast forward to recent years when the county increased our Payo amount to $3.3 million each year. While we appreciate the increased investment, The math still doesn't add up. That's roughly $82,500 to take care of a school for a year. We have 40 campuses. That's $6,800 a month to again cover, remember, 3 million square feet of buildings. And let me remind you that the cost to rebuild this one room that we're standing in is $125,000. Using that math, it would take us 2 years just to fix this one classroom. Not to mention the fact that utilities have increased between 8 and 13% over the past 10 years. We've received no additional money to keep the air, the heat, and the lights on. We do believe we are at a crossroads for the Alamance County Commissioners. Our message is not intended to be disrespectful to our commissioner partners. We know working together is the only way to make things happen. We are trying to work together to build a relationship of mutual respect and stability. We have asked, and we have consistently advocated for healthy and safe schools. We have pleaded for understanding, and we have been transparent with our needs and with our spending. Unfortunately, we have taken sharp criticism at almost every turn. We are constantly judged for actions taken over the years, rather than focusing on the real needs and the real issues on hand today. Now we face unimaginable choices, cutting resources, cutting programs, and potentially cutting staff. What that looks like is still being determined. That being said, we want to be very clear. Cutting staff will be an absolute last resort, both for the board and for administration. That's why we're here today. We need your help. We've already cut over $7 million, and I fear what more cuts may look like for ABSS. 10 years ago, we had 70 maintenance staff. Today, we have 34 funded positions from our county commissioners. The county funding is 34 positions. 25 of those field technicians are in the field every day, all day, and the remaining provide administrative support. Last year alone, those 25 skilled technicians, and they are fabulous, by the way, had nearly 10,000 work orders. They repaired everything from broken locks to leaky faucets, to heat not working in classrooms, and to changing out more than 2,000 air filters on a consistent basis. Of those 25 employees, only 4 are HVAC technicians. We have 4 HVAC technicians, just 4, working to maintain HVAC systems at every school campus and consistently changing more than 2,000 air filters. Our children deserve better than this. So now I want to talk numbers. It is important for the public to understand the numbers, the dollars and the cents, the investment in public education. ABSS has an average daily membership, that's our student enrollment, of 22,326 students. I think we rank 15th in size in the state of North Carolina. Yet we are ranked 62nd in the state for local funding per pupil. That's the local investment per child in this county. 62nd. Alamance County has a total county budget of $253 million. County commissioners gave $48 million to ABSS, which is 19.2% of their total county budget. Orange County has a total budget of $273 million. They give a total of $98 million to Orange and Chapel Hill school districts. That number alone represents 35.9% of their total budget invested in their schools. And these numbers, by the way, were pulled from the Department of Public Instruction using the same methodology. Chatham County has a total county budget of $173 million. They give 23.8% of their total county budget to their school district. Guilford County gave 45.6%, and Durham County 23.4%, and Wake County 36.4%. In Alamance County, we are rural. We are the lowest in the region at 19.2% of the county's budget invested in our children in public education. During the recent mold crisis, the county did allow us to redirect money that was already promised to ABSS, money that we had earmarked for other purposes, things like additional security cameras, major repairs for our HVAC systems, playground equipment replacement, general building maintenance, and they're all on hold. Now we need for them to truly give us the money that they promised us. We're asking for $8.5 million just to stay afloat, $5.2 million for remaining mold remediation invoices, and $3.3 million to reinstate our annual Payo funds we talked about earlier that the county committed to give us. Please be mindful that mold remediation wasn't just cleaning. It was cleaning and a lot of it. But it was also demolition. It was dumpsters, it was ceiling tiles, it was asbestos testing, it was encapsulation, and it was dehumidifiers. People often ask me, what about the lottery funds? What about capital reserves? This too is all money that belongs to ABSS. It simply flows from the state through the county commissioners to be used on our 3 million square feet of buildings. The state of our district, as I said before, is in a financial crisis. We have moved money from our own savings account to our checking account for far too long. That's the only thing they've allowed us to do. That's how we paid for the mold remediation thus far, over $20 million. Keep in mind, that money was already allocated to ABSS. It was our money, and we had already committed it to other projects. The historic rapid investment year after year in ABSS by our county can't continue if we want to have safe and healthy learning environments for our students. I also want to take this time to address some of the criticism we've heard from a couple of our county commissioners in recent months as we've requested for them to fully invest in our students. The one question that I get over and over is why did we use our federal funds for staff bonuses instead of repairing HVAC systems? And I'll give you the same answer I've given for 2 years. I voted in favor of it, as did 3 of my board colleagues at that time. We do not apologize for doing so. We had over 180 vacancies at that time, navigating a worldwide pandemic. We had to do something to attract high-quality teachers and reward those already teaching in ABSS. Districts around us were offering signing bonuses and higher supplements, and we simply had to stay competitive. At one time, Alamance County ranked 13th in teacher supplements. Last year, we dropped. We're 22nd in teacher supplements. 8 of our neighboring school districts, many that I mentioned previously in my remarks, still remain in the top 12. Our teachers receive an average of $5,300 compared to their counterparts in nearby Orange and Guilford counties, making upwards of $7,600 extra. Chapel Hill Public Schools is number 1 in the entire state, more than $10,000. How can we compete with that if we cannot invest in our school system? For people, our buildings, our children, it all matters. Sadly, I've defended that decision time and time again, and I will consistently say there is nothing more valuable to this organization, to any organization, than its people. What about the past studies and health inspections? Why did we turn the air out during the summer months at our school? As you've heard today, it always came down to resources. Not enough funding to make repairs. Constant BandAids. Additionally, the air was never turned off. It was just set to a higher setting in order to save money. It's part of an energy program, a practice that has been in place for at least 16 years. 16 years. ABSS, contrary to popular belief, did not create mold last year. It took years and years to do so. But ABSS did choose to address the mold this year, a long overdue and challenging task. Oftentimes we get so wrapped up in the chaos that we forget what started it all. And more importantly, where the focus should be, the actual outcome. And in this case, safe and healthy schools. The time is now for us to unite as a community once more like we did when we had a vision to improve our facilities and build that new high school on Highway 119. This room needs to be restored. I'm going to tell you again, take a minute and look around. As an ABSS parent, this is not what I want for my child. As a school board member, this is not what I want for your child, your grandchild. This is not acceptable. This room should be full of students learning and growing. So I have some questions of my own for taxpayers of this county. Will you stand with us, with my board colleagues, with Dr. Butler, with our staff, with our school leaders? If you live in this county, public education should matter to you. For years, ABSS leadership and school board members have consistently made the same arguments. And decades later, we are still fighting the same fight. Will you stand with us once again when we go before our county commissioners on Monday, December 4th at 9:30 to plead once again for our commissioners to invest in our schools? The total cost of all mold remediation, plus all projects that were scheduled for this school year, equals roughly $25.8 million. As of today, $18.7 million has been paid from ABSS dollars. We still need money to cover the remaining $5+ million in invoices, plus to restore the money from our Payo account for the projects that we had put on hold. That's close to $9 million. And it's going to be a big ask on Monday. It's a big deal, but it's the right thing to do. So just to be clear, $17 million was taken from our own ABSS state-mandated capital reserves and lottery funds. That's the money I mentioned that flows through the county to ABSS. An additional $3.3 million was given from ABSS Payo funds. We had already committed to complete numerous projects this year. And like I mentioned earlier, those projects, they're either on hold or they're almost completed and unpaid. I truly have faith in our young people, and I believe that they deserve safe schools, highly trained teachers, and the knowledge to succeed in a competitive world. The most important financial investment in this county that will generate the absolute highest return on every dollar spent is public education. Our schools drive our future. Property values, economic development, our leaders, our work life, our workforce, and our quality of life. The Alamance County website says, and this is a direct quote, important to every community, to every person, of every age, education is of primary importance in Alamance County, home to one of the best school systems in the state. And we'll give you a minute to let that sink in. Because if we truly believe that, and we are serious about creating the best Alamance County, the best school system in the state, because education is of primary importance to every person in this county, we have to make public education and our young people, our future leaders, our #1 priority. If you live in this county, public education should matter to you. This is more than a budget that was set back in June. It's bigger than the $9 million ask. It's about our children, and they're not investments. I mean, our children, they're investments, they're not expenses. And this is what we have to embrace across this county, is our most precious citizen, and that's our children. Today, we ask you to please contact our county commissioners and help us plead for adequate funding for ABSS. For years, the school system has fought, we've asked, we've pleaded. And we've proven we can't do this by ourselves. We need your help. This is our statement for today. We felt that this was the most efficient way to provide clarity in ways and why we're always asking for money. Opinions can be disputed, but simple facts cannot. Accountability and transparency are the two things that I believe can bring these two boards together to focus on our children. We did invite our county commissioners to join us here today. I do not see any in the room with us, but I do hope that they're watching. I do want to thank you for being here. We do have a media release that's prepared that includes the dollars and figures and some of the facts that we've shared with you here today. If you have additional questions, we do ask that you direct those to Mr. Wes Atkins in our Public Information Office, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you, board members, and thank you, ABSS staff. And happy holidays.
Thank you.